Welcome to episode 8 of The Consistent Creator. And as promised in episode 7, we're going to talk about self-education versus formal education. Yeah, that's right. Self-education versus formal education. So I'll start with formal education because that's kind of what most people know about, and I get into self-education. So, formal education, something that is heavily preached to people, right? So, formal education is usually, going to college, going to a trade school, going to a technical school, or anything for that matter. And formal education has its place. It is important. But from my personal experience, I feel like self-education is more important. Now, I have an associate's degree and I have a bachelor's degree. But what I will say is that I've learned more from actually self-educating myself than a formal degree. Now, let's start about how this whole formal education came about and why this was so important. So, this really started way back in the 1900s with Henry Ford was one of the pioneers. It's what I call the 9 to 5 or the paycheck innovator. Henry Ford was the type of person that, he had a big vision and he needed people to work for him. So what he did was the people that had the farms and stuff, they didn't really know nothing about agriculture. They didn't really know how, farming and all and machinery and how all that stuff worked. And he was working on building, stuff for mass production. So he said, look, sell me your farm. You're having a hard time. So sell me your farm, sell me your assets, sell me your resources, and this is what I'll do. You need to put food on the table. You got to feed your family. I'll make sure that you get a steady paycheck so that you can feed your family, and then you don't have to worry about all this stuff. You ain't got to worry about being in the hot sun and all that. We'll put you in the factory. We'll make sure it's cool. We'll take care of you. We'll give you benefits and everything else. So people looking like, you telling me I get a guaranteed paycheck and I ain't got to do all this extra physical labor? Sign me up. So that's what wound up happening. Then what wound up happening is, this is how team leads and small level management was developed. Hey, if you go to school, I'll pay you more. And what the school is going to teach you is the school is going to teach you how to manage the other people. So instead of you having to worry about doing the work, all you got to do is just manage the teams. And, we'll give you more money. Go to school for 2 years and we'll give you more money. So you telling me I don't have to work hard and slave no more? Cool. All I got to do is go to school and you're going to give me more money. All I got to do is just manage other people? No problem. Sign me up. So that's what happened. Then after that, you did a great job. Say, hey, would you be interested in going back to school for 2 more years? Yeah. The first 4 years. Would you be going back to school for another 1 to 2 more years? Then we'll show you, instead of you managing the people, we'll show you how to manage the people that manage the people. And then, which is usually, executive management with MBAs, then we'll pay you even more money. So, like I said, so you really won't even have to worry about it. We'll put you in charge. You can manage the people that work in the factories. Oh, that sounds like that. Oh, that sounds great. So what happened? They went back to school for 2 more years, and before you know it, now MBAs are popular. And that's the thing about formal education. But it was, like I said, it was mainly to get in, to talk about, having a job. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you seek. But as we see that the world is constantly changing, and formal education is not changing with it, we have scenarios where it's outdated. It moves too slow. As I mentioned in the previous episode where I talked about college, we got a lot of big companies, they're not even requiring that stuff anymore. Because what they noticing that things are changing too fast, so they want to teach you what they want to teach you. Not necessarily for you to go to a school to get a degree, and then now the skill sets don't even match. Now there's a skills gap. So it becomes a lose-lose for everybody. The economy loses because now it's not really profitable. That's a lost opportunity. You lose because you don't went to school, you done paid for this education, and now you having a hard time getting a job. And when you have a hard time getting a job, that's less disposable income for you, which means that's more earned revenue for other companies. The companies lose because now they got to push their deadlines and stuff back because they don't have the necessary workers, and they can't bridge that gap between finding people that's adequate to help them achieve their goals. So they also have less revenue, which means that that's less, the executives make less money. That's less vacations they getting going. So it affects everybody. But the whole thing is that, you know, you got to go to school, go get a job, become a doctor, a lawyer, something insane. But the thing about it is that we got a lot of people, especially my generation, the millennial generation, we're in debt. And it's killing us because we fed that lie of go to school, get a safe and secure job, especially when you have companies laying people off. Companies and laying people off. You can do all of that stuff. You can go to school, get a nice job, work somewhere for 10 years, and they can give you a brown box and say, oh, we thank you for the last 10 years. And you looking like, well, why is this happening? You looking like, I done did everything they told me to do. I thought this was the blueprint. You know? I was supposed to invest in my 401k. I was supposed to retire. Now all of a sudden I can't do that anymore. And I got to go back and look for another job. But if you would have self-educated yourself, which, like I said, you know, I'm not being compensated, but Rich Dad Poor Dad was a monumental book. It's the reason why I think it's the #1 personal finance book of all time, selling millions and millions of copies, because it taught you how to think differently. And like Robert Kiyosaki, it taught you how to think like his rich dad. Now it goes heavily into real estate, but which I'm not going to talk about here. Like I said, I have my part 2 coming up on real estate. But it tells you how to think differently. And that's the thing. You got to change your mindset first. It goes back to what I was talking about with real estate versus A way versus the way. Formal education has to be like an added bonus. It can't be your primary go-to. That can't be your go-to strategy. That's why a lot of people struggle. A lot of people suffer. It's because they like, oh, well, I'm just going to go get a degree. What about investing in yourself? And this is where self-education come in. But more importantly, a lot of times when we say self-education, we're talking about financial literacy. You know? Do you know how to make more money? If I was to ask you right now, what's the #1 way to make more money and have the time and have the stress? I guarantee you over 90% of people couldn't even answer that question. You know? We need to talk about savings. We need to talk about debt. We need to talk about credit. We need to talk about real estate. We need to talk about investments. But what happened? If you grew up like me, middle class, your parents and your grandparents, they didn't talk about that. They didn't talk about that at the dinner table. So that's the thing. You know, they don't teach this stuff in schools. So you gotta self-educate. And the reason why they don't teach this stuff in school is because it's different perspectives. And because different people have different agendas and they have different ambitions. So it's kind of hard for everybody just to learn one thing. Because everybody thinks differently. Everybody has different goals. But at the same time, they should be teaching us some type of financial literacy. But they don't. So what you got to do? You got to go out there and learn this yourself. And teach it to your family, your friends, and your loved ones. That's what I've been on the journey for. Like I said, I've been fortunate to, you know, the last 10 plus years to work in financial services in different aspects. But I still read books. I attend conferences. I try to do whatever I can to educate myself. But I always say people don't do stuff. Why? Because it takes sacrifice. It takes away from your recreation time to build a legacy. It takes investment. It takes work. You gotta exert energy and take action. You know? But a lot of people are to just sit and relax. I'd rather work hard now for 10 to 12 to the next 12 years and then live my life the way I want it for the rest of my life. But that's the thing. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Or something. I love what somebody said. Someday doesn't show up on the calendar. And like I always say, you always say you'll wait till tomorrow. Well, here's the thing. Tomorrow becomes today. Now what? You're unprepared for stuff like this. But like I said, but it comes down to, self-education, put in the work. It's hard work, but you will get the result. I love what Les Brown said. If you do what is hard, your life will be easy. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. And that's the thing. Most people are doing what is easy. That's why they having hard lives. But that's also too is because a lot of us value entertainment over education. We don't want to do it. We don't want to invest in it. I love one of my favorites too. Oh, that costs too much. I love what Jim Rohn said. If you think education costs too much, you should see the price for ignorance and being unprepared. But people don't get it. They missed the boat. Literally, they missed the boat. They don't have enough money for that admission to get on that boat, to be financially successful, or to be financially independent. Invest in yourself. There's no cavalry, there's no artillery, there's no infantry. There's nobody coming to save you financially. You got to save yourself. You got to be wanting to change the legacy for you. That's what I'm trying to do for me and my family. I'm trying to change the financial legacy. I didn't grow up with this stuff, I wish my parents, I wish my grandparents would have been able to, set me up. And that's another thing is too, we got to stop letting these generations start over and over and over. It's time for somebody to be the foundation so that they can build. That's what wealthy families do. They set the foundation and they train each generation on how to keep it going. And that's the thing. The wealth don't dissipate until somebody in the family messes it up or don't want to follow the rules or don't follow the terms and conditions. When somebody feel like they want their share and they just want to, spend all of the resources instead of continue to invest the resources and manage it, that's when wealthy families go wrong. But outside of that, it could be continuous. It could be perpetual. But like I said, you got to be willing to invest in self-education. And it's not really that hard. All you got to do is 1% more than somebody else. That's all you got to do. Like I said, delayed, but it comes down to delayed gratification. And here's one of the biggest things too, which you guys already know this. A lot of wealthy and successful people financially, they don't flaunt their wealth. When you see people riding around and showing their jewelry, they ain't got no money. Talking about the people that you want to learn from, they ain't really got no money. You can check their financial portfolio from top to bottom. They're not really doing nothing. So don't get caught up in that. People that really don't have nothing, they got to show people to make it look like they're winning. They have a lot of spoils. They wasting a lot of money on stuff material stuff that don't add no value to nobody. And then you get caught up in the trap. And you looking like, oh man, look at them. They got a nice car. You don't know what's going on. I know a lot of people. I know one person in specific. I won't disclose, where they are to me, but I knew somebody that made, $300,000 a year or more as a family household. Nice house, everything, vacations, everything. And then when 2008 came, you found out they were broke. They were so used to living a high life. Somebody very influential in the community, like I said, has a family household of $300,000 or more. And a lot of that got wiped out in 2008. They lost almost everything. And like I said, they were making it look like they were, doing stuff. I always told myself, yeah, I like nice houses, but I told myself, in the future, when I become a millionaire or multi-millionaire, I want to dress the same way I dress now. I got on a regular t-shirt and some jeans. I want to look regular, but be rich. But it all starts with the mindset. So I'll end with this. Develop your financial mindset with self-education. it will take you a long way. It'll separate you from everybody else too. And like I said, really learn how to make more money. Learn how to save money. Learn how debt work. Learn how credit work. Learn how real estate work if you're interested in that. Learn how investments work. You know, you want to prepare for the long term because like I said, more than likely, most of us are going to have long lives. Most of us are going to be blessed to have long lives. Well, you know, we're in our 60s, we're in our 70s, and we're in our 80s, or even and beyond. And the last thing a lot of people are afraid of is that they worry about running out of money in retirement. Which me personally, I would never fully retire. I can always be semi-retired because I need to have something to do. Not only that, statistics are not in favor of people that retire because usually a lot of people that retire within 5 to 10 years or less, they pass away. So that's the word on retirement. But yeah, self-education. Put in the time. Put in the work. You're worth it. Invest in yourself. Your family's worth it. Your legacy's worth it as well. So once again, invest in self-education. Go out and fulfill your destiny and leave a legacy to let us know that you did make an impact in the world. Simmons out.